And now we got some data here from the Smart Balanced Assessment Coalition standard test given by 6 million students. In September, okay, the Agency of Education released the results that included 41,000 Vermont school teachers, elementary, middle, and high school students. The statewide average for the SBCA score dropped by 20 points in 2017 as compared to 2016. I just barely found this information. The average percentage of students achieving proficiency this year was 48%, down from 50.92% last year. In almost every grade in both English and math, the percentage of students scoring proficiency or above was lower. In almost every grade tested, English and math, and the percentage of students scoring proficiency was lower than in 2016. Low-income students and average students reached the state's average scores, either subject to grading. And there's a big gap here, so we're spending a lot of money and not getting anything out of it.
If there's anyone watching out there who can tell us, give us an answer to this question. Why on earth does the state of Vermont spend almost double the national average per pupil?
That's around $20,000, correct?
It's over 20,000, right. Yes. The national average is 11,700 per pupil. Vermont's is over 21,000.
And I think we talked when I got back from Tennessee a few months back, and I did find out that in Tennessee, the average they spend on students is just over $9,000, and they're turning out some brilliant people. Of course, a lot of people are moving out. And here's another statistic that I found. Vermont has the lowest percentage of residents looking to stay in Vermont. Vermont has the most residents looking to move to other states compared to others. So why are they trying to leave the state of Vermont? One of my things is the cost of living here is tremendous, and we have people in the legislature now want to put a carbon tax in place. And I know that there's a group of Democrats out there who have signed a petition saying that they will vote to put that carbon tax in. So before you vote, look well to your ballot and make no mistake, and ask that person that you're voting for, are they in favor of a carbon tax? And if they are, then you better say no to them, because what they're looking at is this. The latest carbon tax proposal includes 32 cents for every gallon of gasoline, 40 cents for every gallon of heating or diesel, 24 cents for every gallon of propane and natural gas. So next time you go out to your grill and you have to take it to get it filled up, they're going to charge you 24 cents more per gallon for your propane. And if you heat with natural gas, 24 cents more for that. So
per gallon.
So can you tell me why we should vote any Democrat in office in the state of Vermont?
Well, I would suggest this, that folks, if you, hopefully by now, you know who's running for office. And if you don't, you can check with your town clerk's office. You can look it up online. I know you can go to the Vermont Republican Party website and find out who's running for office. And then I encourage you to get their contact information for each of the candidates and ask specific questions of them. Did you support a carbon tax for, to add a burden to the people? Imagine all of the people, Don, who drive from St. Albans or Franklin or whatever other town, Swanton, and they work in Burlington, and they drive back and forth every day. What do you think that annual cost would be per gallon? I mean, it's high enough in Vermont. It's almost $3 a gallon. Yes, it's $2.99.9, something like that. you know, much higher than it is in some other states. So, by the way, I have forgotten, I used to know what the state of Vermont tax is on a gallon of gas as it stands.
I did too. Maybe somebody out there could help us what it is. Get up on the interstate tomorrow morning at 5 o'clock and just wait. There's thousands of cars. This is 5 o'clock in the morning. They're heading south into Burlington. And then come look at night when they come back.
4 o'clock.
Same thing.
Oh my gosh. I cannot get over the increase in the traffic.
Right.
In St. Albans as well as on the interstate and Burlington. I don't know what's happened.
From 4 o'clock to 6 o'clock, go over to exit 19, off-ramp, and they got them backed all the way up to the highway waiting to get off the interstate. So there's a lot of people out there, and all these people of Franklin County should start waking up because this tax will go in. They keep hiding and say, well, we're going to do this for you. Once we put that in, they're going to give it back to you piecemeal. Well, if you believe that, I got a bridge I want to sell you.
Well, we're taxed enough in this state. We're taxed too much. Do you know, Don, as luck would have it, late this afternoon, the phone rang, and I didn't pick up because I didn't recognize.
Yeah.
I didn't recognize the number, and I get so many calls, like many other people do, from people who want you to make a donation. And I donate, you know, mostly in the state of Vermont, occasionally a few bucks, you know, somewhere else for a good cause. But this call was from Indian Land, South Carolina, which is just south of Charlotte, North Carolina. And I have been down there looking around in the past to see if I might have an interest. My grandson lives just south of Charlotte, North Carolina, and that's just half an hour or less from Indian Land, South Carolina. So this realtor called me from South Carolina and wanted to know, you know, what was the status of my thinking. Okay, and I'll continue this in a few minutes. I understand that we have a caller, so welcome to the show, caller.
Oh, good evening.
Good evening. How are you, Jim?
I think, I used to know this firsthand when I was on the House Transportation Committee, but it's well over 33 or 34 cents a gallon for Vermont tax presently on gasoline.
Mm-hmm. Can you imagine adding to that?
Another 33, 34 cents? That's easy for some of these guys to do to our taxpayers. They'll just bankrupt the farmers for good.
Well, and yes, tractors.
You know, Linda, if I thought for one moment that it would really amount to something, and that Canada, New York, Massachusetts, all the states around us would join in and help, it might have a valid point. I don't see that happening. We're not going to make one bit of difference. Is China going to help us? Don't think so.
No, we have to help ourselves. That's what this country was founded on, wasn't it, Jim?
Yes, it was.
Individual effort. And people who run our state, you know, need to think about what they're doing to the people of this state. But it's about individual effort and goals and work ethic and to get ahead in life and make a good life for yourself.
Absolutely. I'm quite amused when I read and see and hear people talk. Oh, I would never support a carbon tax. I've never supported a carbon tax in the past. But every year it gets on the floor of the House. How does that happen when nobody supports it?
Well, Jimmy, there's
somebody's not telling the truth.
Right. Well, I think there's a group of Democrats signed a petition that they said that they would promote a carbon tax, and they've got it in writing. So I was telling.
Well, yeah, working on it presently, Don.
Yeah, I know it. And I told Linda, the Republicans, right, that I am, we should have television ads, and if it was Jim Fitzgerald, a Democrat, we should say Jim Fitzgerald wants to charge you 32 cents more for your gallon.
Well, don't even say that. Somebody will think you mean it.
No, I'm not saying, but
No.
we need to call them out and put their names in print and let the buyer beware is basically what I'm trying to get down to.
The voter beware.
Well, the buyer, they're buying into something.
Yeah.
But most of the
there's
people...
many who won't admit to that during this election cycle. But I know, and you know who they are.
Yeah.
Are not telling the taxpayers and the citizens and the voters the truth. I'll be honest with them, and I'll tell them how I'm going to vote if I'm fortunate enough to be elected.
Well, hopefully you will be.
Yeah.
We would be well served should you be elected, Jim. You're an honorable man. You're a hardworking man. You have great experience in government at several different levels, and including the legislature. And I would definitely urge the voters to give their vote to you. And I know that if a voter were to approach you and ask you a question about how you would vote on a given thing, I know you would be truthful.
Yes, I will. There's no reason not to be.
Right.
They have a perfect right to know.
Because I believe that you and many others evaluate a situation, look at the big picture, and then determine what makes sense and what kind of a burden already is on the people.
Yes. Well, if someone asks that question from me, certainly, Linda, I'll provide them the honest truth. If I'm elected, this is how I'm going to plan. At least how I intend to vote.
Yeah.
Now, just a question that I'm curious about, Jim. Have any citizens, voters, approached you and asked you how you would vote on a given bill or issue?
Oh. No, not yet. I've run surveys, 5 or 6 surveys on Facebook, and people are responding to that. I asked that question about carbon tax on Facebook recently. I had 94 responses.
Wow.
92 opposed.
How many in favor?
92 opposed.
That's right.
Right.
Well, and you can add me.
And the two that acted like they supported it did so very shyly. They were quite shy in their response. But I gathered from what they sent me they would be in favor of it. But about 97, 98% said no way. And they were very strong in their belief. They let it be came across very clear.
Well, that's why
I've asked that question. I've asked them about tonight. I have a question on there about should we consider what the legislature started to consider last year in funding education via the income tax versus the property tax. And so far, of all the responses I've received, they've all said that the property tax is the most regressive tax that they can think of, and some suggest that we do it with a sales tax and not income. So I expect I'm going to get all kinds of answers, but at least people are having an opportunity to tell me what they're thinking.
You know, my perspective on education costs is that before anybody does anything to raise a tax of any kind to support education, there must be an audit of the education department and the school budgets. And we need to know where the money's going, what kind of outcomes we're getting for that, what is the return on the investment, and what can we do to decrease the cost.
Nothing wrong with that approach.
We are way out of line with the rest of the country.
Yes, we are.
Why isn't anybody crying foul? I don't get it.
I don't have that answer, Linda. I don't know why we're not hearing more. I think some effort's been made locally to cut costs, but they're still way out of proportion to the enrollment.
Yes.
You and I, we all understand that.
Yes.
Now, you and I have discussed, I don't expect that it be in conjunction with the decrease in enrollment, because you're never going to get rid of the fixed costs. the lights are going to go on if there are two students or 10, and so is it the lawn going to be mowed and the driveway shoveled and plowed. But there's some other costs that really need to be looked at. I'm not looking or thinking that we could rid ourselves of fixed costs. That doesn't change because the enrollment drops. And you and I have discussed this.
And
there are other costs that need to be examined.
And that's right. And fixed costs in education are not the problem. Of course, you have to have the lights on, and you have to have heat, and so forth. And in my view, you need one teacher for 25 students, but that's not happening.
Yeah, that's right.
That's the old days.
Well, and we have too many supervisory unions.
Yes, we do. You have 2 in the state of Texas.
Right, and you got 1 in Nashville, Tennessee, and they're over, I forget how many millions of people live there, and the students, probably more students than we have for people in Vermont.
Doesn't make any sense, Don.
And there's 1 superintendent in all of New York City with millions of students.
Right.
That's right. Exactly right.
And we don't even have a million.
Another question on that drew quite a lot of interest, and that was term limits for legislators. Would they favor that? Would they not favor it? That was quite mixed.
Really?
Yeah, it does. Many said, a few, not many, said that they thought seniority played an important role. People with a lot of experience played a role. And some people said, no way. Two terms, 4 years each term. The governor running every 2 years is silly.
It is.
And so we'll increase the size. There were mixed reactions to that question. It was interesting to see what people were thinking about that. At least people are having a chance to tell me what they think.
I think it's great that you're doing that. Maybe more legislators should do that to find out what the people think. Because after all, whether it be the United States Congress or whether it be our legislature, everyone is elected on behalf of the people. And their job is to do what's in the best interest of the people. Not themselves,
right.
Not special interest, but the people at large.
Exactly.
And I think that's been lost in a lot of ways, certainly in Congress and perhaps with some legislators in our own state and other states. So
well, I think it has been to some degree, and hopefully we can turn that around to some degree. I enjoy your show.
Well, thank you so much.
And keep up the good work.
You too.
Thank you for doing so. It's a great service to the listening audience, or viewing audience, I should say.
Thank you so much, Jim.
Thank you.
Keep up the good work.
Yeah, I hope they
Thank you very much. Bye.
Take care.
Yeah, I hope they do listen too, instead of just watch.
Well, yes. Well, we have our opinions, and the nature of this program is that if someone has something to say, to share, that they're more than welcome to do so, just like Jim just did.
Well, here's another tax that a lot of people aren't worried about. It's all these online purchases that, that they want to start taxing.
Oh.
Online purchases?
Yeah, there's
sales tax?
I'm not a big online purchaser.
Well, some people are, some people aren't.
Yes.
All right.
So the state wants to tax?
Yeah, when you buy something out of state, on your income tax, they have a spot saying, what did you buy out of state?
Right.
Okay.
That's right.
And I'd like to know how many people put something in. Like, for example, I spent a few weeks down in Nashville, Tennessee. I did buy a few things down there. I paid sales tax down there. All right. So why should I pay sales tax here in Vermont?
Exactly.
All right. Maybe I bought some clothing stuff, and I bring it back.
But those were not purchases in Vermont. So.
No, but this online's not purchased in Vermont. If you buy something from Amazon, that's on a computer and it's shipped to your house. So it's not. If the order was given in Vermont, I guess it's a thing I'm not too smart about when it comes to what you mean by purchased in Vermont. Maybe somebody out there could tell me. I guess if you bring something in and didn't pay a tax on it before, I guess what you could call it is a user fee rather than a tax, a user fee that you have to pay.
Well, I would think that if you purchased something in another state, then you shouldn't have to pay a Vermont tax on that. But I mean, they're trying in every which way to increase taxes, money for the state. And if only they were more efficient in how the money is spent, how it is handled, I don't think we'd have this problem.
Well, we have 1/3 of the population on Medicare, Medicaid. Okay, and we have 626,000. I didn't get the update, but let's not hold down. So over 200,000 people are on Medicaid. All right, and as you said, all right, they live good. They have cell phones. All this. I want to help people to live in a home, be warm, and eat food. But I don't think I have to buy them to let them get tattoos. I don't think I have to buy them to have cell phones. I will give them a cell phone, but the only number we call is 911 for help.
My take on the welfare scenario is that we all know that there are certain people who are not able, they're maybe disabled or in some way not capable of holding down a job and working towards self-sufficiency. However, I don't know what percentage of those 200,000 people that includes, but we, and I've said this before in this show and in other places, I want the Department of Labor working with the Agency of Human Services. And I want them to connect the dots between the people who are on whatever kind of welfare with the job availability, maybe even what their employment skills are. And maybe we could have some way of helping people who need better skills to be eligible for certain jobs. We know that there's a lack of jobs at certain levels of ability, okay? But I see signs at Walmart. They have openings. I see them at one of the grocery stores in St. Albans. They're hiring. So there are jobs out there. But then you have employers who cannot find, and there are hundreds of job openings, but the employers cannot find people who are adequately knowledgeable or skilled, proficient to handle those jobs.
Well, I was looking, I was reading a paper the other day while I was having my car service, and I was reading there's schools looking for custodians, all right, to work, you know, after hours, all right, and on holidays and stuff, and working. Now that anybody can do that. You don't have to be trained or anything. I can hold a mop, I can hold a broom, and I can hold a rag to dust. I mean,
well, we'll have you sign up.
Okay, I'm willing to go. But no, that doesn't take a whole lot of, you know. Now, you do that until you can get off that. That's a building block.
It's a starting
That's right.
place.
That's a building block to get you up there. If I would assume, like at BFA, they have that tech school up there. If you work there, you could probably go there free and learn by being a mechanic or something, and then you could get a job at a garage. So we can help you do things, but you got to get off, you know what, and get out there and look. There's a lot of out there people in the employment business. They want to help you get to where you want to be.
Well, I hope so, but
a lot of people rather, I mean, like they'll say, I don't mind work, I can watch it all day.
We're making it too easy to be subsidized. And my view on that, and making it easy for people to live off other people's efforts when they're capable of holding down a job, is really, it's a slap in the face to them that we're not admiring them for their ability and their desire to better themselves. You know, government needs to encourage people to become the best they can be.
That's right.
And families need to do that and set an example for what you want your children to model going forward. A strong work ethic, personal responsibility.
Now, the Department of Labor could put in a program to help people learn skills and to help them get into, because they know where the jobs are and they can work them in. They could go in there and just watch
match
people.
Them. They could match
them up to what they might want to do. There's a lot of truck drivers looking for truck drivers, CDL people.
I know.
I mean, you have to pass the test, how to drive and stuff.
Well, probably have to have a drug test for sure.
True, that is true. That is true, but I mean, there's all kinds of jobs out there. People, we're just not willing to make sure that we want to help them. We're making it too easy.
We need to tie in the job opportunities with the people who need a job.
Right.
And if you're capable of doing a particular job in the area where you live, and you can get to the job, and you're not willing to take it because you like living off the taxpayers, then that's not okay.
No. I know what you're saying.
We don't do anybody any favor.
No. It's a disservice to them.
It really is. Low expectations, you get low results.
Right.
That's why in the classroom, we have to have high expectations of those students. So
Well,
there.
That tech school at BFA, we could.
They do a good
job.
Absolutely.
And there's a lot of people out there looking for people who could fill in there.
Skills.
All right. I was listening to radio today. They're advertising on the radio now for people. There's a company down south, a rental business, looking for somebody who can do small repairs on equipment like lawnmowers and stuff like that.
Oh, yeah.
They're willing to give you this. They're willing to give this, benefits, stuff like that. If you can work with your hands.
Yes.
You don't have to be a rocket scientist.
Genius.
All right. You can do certain things.
That's important.
Right. And they've got a lot of people this time of year doing lawn care. And in the wintertime, plowing. Mm-hmm. People can learn how to drive truck.
And there are some people who are fit, they're cut out for that kind of work. My brother can fix just about anything. I'm just so, in awe of that.
Right.
Whether it be cars or whatever it might be. And he's coming to visit, and I have a list.
Are you going to a honey-do list?
Yeah, I've already warned him.
I got a honey-do list for you.
He's really good about it.
Yeah.
He's really good about it. I heard something recently about, maybe you would know what it was I'm referring to, that you're not going to be able to build a house without putting some specific thing in the house. I think it's an environmental thing, and I can't remember what it is. But I just think that's out of the role of government. Let me build my house the way I want my house. And if I want to pay a higher electric bill or whatever, then that's my option.
Right.
I want government to get off my lawn, off my property, out of my house, out of my car. Just leave me alone.
That Efficiency Vermont, I bet it has something to do with them.
Probably, and I resent having to pay an Efficiency Vermont fee on my
electricity.
Yes. Yep.
So that's another hidden tax that we don't know about.
Absolutely.
All right. We know about it, but we can't do anything about it. All right.
Yeah.
That's what they do down in Montpelier late at night when they have nothing else to do. Figure out ways so we can get something so the taxpayer doesn't know about it until all of a sudden, whoop, they wake up and say, and it's all done.
Where did this come from?
Right, where did it come from?
Yeah. Okay, one other thing I wanted to bring up tonight is, are you aware that over $2.7 trillion has been borrowed from the Social Security trust fund, all right, and spent by Congress. The American people have been left with nothing more than a stack of worthless IOUs. And guess what congressmen do? For 30 years, over 30 years, they've taken $2.7 trillion with a T, $1 trillion out of that fund that we paid into as workers and current workers are paying into. And now that fund is, you know, it's not stable for going forward. And so I would urge you to call your either Senator Sanders' office or Senator Leahy's office or Peter Welch's office and ask the question, who monitors the Social Security Trust Fund? Where's the auditing done on what money was taken out when over the 30 years? There must be a ledger somewhere, I'd like to think, an auditor's book, right. Ho, ho, ho. Keep it a secret, right? Yep. So we can't know. But who's monitoring those withdrawals from the fund, and what are they being used for when that money is to be allocated for the workers of this country who have put the money in there, and it's for their supplementation of their retirement. So just make a simple phone call. You can look up online and get all the phone numbers of your congressmen and senators. Now, if you have a telephone book, it's listed in the telephone book as well. The old Fairpoint telephone book? I call them once in a while myself and talk to them. As you know, I send you some of the response that they give back to me. And, oh, yeah. And they think I buy into their it's just being polite by recognize the fact that I did call in. But we senior citizens who have worked all our lives and not yet. And been not yet. Not all of our lives aren't over yet, thankfully. Yeah, right. But we have a right to know where that money went, and we need a lockbox on the Social Security Trust Fund that does not allow one more penny to be removed from that fund. That's our money, folks. Well, it's just like I've always said. It's a lot of fun spending other people's money. Oh, yeah. And that's exactly what they're doing. Yeah, well, socialism, what was it Margaret Thatcher said? Right. It's good until you run out of other people's money. Yeah. And socialism, and we've got, you know, Bernie Sanders, all right, is pushing that. We got that lady down in New York who won, is pushing that. All this free stuff. So next time I see Bernie, I'm going to say, Bernie, where are you getting all this money from to do all this stuff that you want to do? Is it coming out of your checking account? Are you going to sell your $600,000 home over in the islands to help pay for it? Or what are you going to do? I mean, yeah, he gets up there and rants and raves about all this stuff here, but where's he going to get the money? And one other point, I got something from the NRA the other day, and I put it here. You know, they got all excited about the governor voting on this gun law here, all right? And it kind of bothered me too, because he said he wouldn't, but he didn't. But then here we go, Bernie Sanders, who won election because Peter Smith voted on that Brady bill, and the people of Vermont voted him out, and they voted Bernie in. And here he is now trying to take the guns away from the people in Vermont and all over the United States with some of his stuff. And I can't figure out where all the sportsmen are now, where they were with Peter Smith, and where they were all over Phil Scott, all right? Why aren't they on Bernie Sanders' butt about him trying to take the guns away? People need to get on board and find out what these guys in Congress are doing. Well, just because they're not in Vermont doesn't mean they're working for us. Well, and we have someone running, a Republican running against Bernie Sanders. Anya Tinio. And we have, I'm sorry, I said that wrong. Anya Tinio is running against Peter Welch. And, sure.
That's okay. They call that a senior moment, or MCI. I have that all the time.
I have that now and then. Oh, we have a caller.
Okay.
Lawrence Zupan is running against Bernie Sanders, and we need to support those two. Okay, caller, welcome to the program.
You got my blood pressure up tonight there, Linda.
Oh, good.
Well, then you and Don are getting my blood pressure up.
Okay.
I didn't know you had a heart.
Well, I was camping, but I had to come back because I knew the Linda Kirker show was coming on Tuesday night.
Okay, well, I'm sorry your heart's having a little stress there, but we believe what we believe. What's on your mind?
Well, I want to take a bet, with either you or Don, $50 that Bernie Sanders will get reelected.
Oh, I hope not, but
you want to make that bet?
no.
What's the odds?
I ain't gonna put no odds on it. Hey, anybody that thinks that Bernie's not gonna win?
Well,
do you think he's gonna lose?
Well, let's just. I'll tell you what. It starts. It's November 6th, is election day. We got some things that could come up between now and then, so I'll get back to you.
Yeah. In other words, you're not taking my bet, Don.
I didn't say that. I said I'll get back to you.
Hey, and
Now,
who's
$50 are you betting?
Don, I'll make this bet. I'll bet that Bernie Sanders win. If he loses, I will donate the $50 to our local church. You do the same thing.
I'm not a bettor. I'm not.
I'll get back to you.
Yeah. Well,
My father taught me not to be very fast, so think things over before you jump into the water.
Yeah.
But anyways.
Well,
I would agree with you that he probably will win because there's a lot of stupid people out there voting for him. I was telling.
I'm one of us voting for him, so
okay.
don't call me stupid.
Misinformed. I'm sorry. Misinformed. I'm sorry. I used the wrong language.
You should use that on your show.
Okay.
Dave, he's a out and out socialist, Bernie Sanders.
Yeah, he says it up front.
Yes, and this country is not about socialism. It's about freedom for the individual, not government control of everything. And how people can support a candidate like that who obviously is right out front about wanting government free education. Where's that going to come from?
That's not all going to come true. You know, and I know, Linda, that education should be kept under control. The cost of college is outrageous.
I agree.
$40,000 to go to a Paul Smith College is crazy. So we got to get the college costs under control for our students because they take on an awful lot of debt.
I agree.
It takes many years to pay it off.
Absolutely, it's really unfair. And but where the bulk of this problem came from. Remember we used to have an agency in Burlington that would lend money to students for college?
VSAC.
Vermont Student Assistance
Yeah,
Corp?
VSAC.
Okay. And then, all of a sudden, under Obama's administration, the government becomes the lender to college students. And this is where a lot of the problems, the interest rate on those loans, I have two nephews and a grandson, well, two grandsons and two nephews who are all trying to pay off college loans. But if they can't make a full payment, the interest level just keeps making the debt higher. The government should not be the entity lending that money.
Yeah.
So, but if you look up socialism, it's not about building a strong nation where people are independent and self-sufficient and have rights like we're fortunate to have in this country.
Yeah, but we need to do away with the two-party system because they both don't work, because they both fight with each other. We never get anything accomplished in the United States and Vermont also.
So I don't agree with that.
Who would we replace it with?
Replace it with a one vote for one voter, and and not having any candidacy, like a Democrat or Republican, because let's face it, anybody running for office has to get money from a lot of different people, including businesses. Rod Valley gives a lot of money to all these candidates in Franklin County, and they're mostly Republicans. So,
well, we have entities that give a lot of money to Democrats too. Look at the unions.
Yeah.
What was I just going to say about that? Oh, not having parties, political parties. Then, I was just looking at the website and printed off the Republican Party, Vermont Republican Party platform, which I think is wonderful. And if we didn't have that, what the Republican Party stands for and what the Democratic Party stands for, then how would you know what the person that you're voting for, if they're not represented by the principles of a party, then
I vote for the person. And it could it could be a Republican, it could be a progressive, it could be an independent. I vote for that person.
And how do you?
Not for the party system.
But how do you know what they stand for? When I ran for office, I ran under the Republican Party, and I stood for the principles of the party. And so if anyone who wanted to vote for me or was looking at voting for me, all they have to do is, number one, ask me what I stand for, and then look at the principles of the party.
Yeah, well, we're not going to agree on certain issues, Linda, but I still respect both you and Don, even though you're a pain once in a while.
Okay, David, before you leave, I'll take that bet, but now I bet you $50 he's not going to be the president in 2020.
I said, no, he's running for office for a senator again.
No, he's out running for president. You know darn well he is. He's traveling all over the United States of America, getting up there. He's trying to line himself up for 2020, but he forgot the fact that the Democrats, I watched television yesterday, and there's about 5 of them ahead of him. So you think he's going to be president 2020?
I'm not going to make that assumption until it gets closer into when they're running for office for president of the United States.
Really?
Well, I want to say 2 things. One, Dave, we respect you too, and I've said this before. I can't get over what you and the board were able to accomplish to put together this facility, which is such a wonderful thing.
Show place, a beautiful place.
Well, and it's such a great service to the community at large.
Well, I'm not running for president again in October. For public access. I've been president for 9 years. I've been vice president for 10 years.
Oh,
my biggest accomplishment was to get that building done and done the way it should be.
Well, you did a good job.
Well done, my friend. And I don't know that this show should be an atmosphere, a vehicle for betting.
Well, me and Don like to tease each other. We even do it before the church service. When the church service starts, we shut our mouth.
And listen, right?
So we agree to have different opinions.
Okay, agree to disagree.
I gotta get off the phone so I can get my blood pressure back down.
Okay. Dave. Thanks for calling.
Bye.
Have a good evening.
He's a good guy.
He is.
Even though we don't agree.
I know.
Politically.
We do. We definitely every Sunday we go to the same church, and I kind of jab him, he jabs me. So it's all in fun. I mean, if you can't have fun, you shouldn't be. It's a lot of.
Absolutely.
You can't take things too serious.
Well, some things you have to take seriously.
Well, no, but I mean, you can't. Just because he and I don't agree on certain things, we respect each other's opinion. That doesn't mean you can't be friends. That's right. You respect each other's opinion.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Absolutely. Now,
Where were we? Oh, yeah, Social Security.
yeah, I think I was done with that. I just think that, once again, you know what? There's this little quote here from George Washington I wanted to share. Here's the quote. Liberty lies in the hearts of men and women.
That's true.
When it dies there, no constitution, no law, no court can save it. So what we do as American citizens is critically important, and how much we understand about how fortunate we are in this country, despite the problems that the country has and the state has, compared to other countries, we have been given rights, but along with rights come responsibilities. And part of our responsibility is to be knowledgeable about what's going on and then be participatory, take part, and ask the questions of those candidates who are running. You don't tell them what you want to hear or what you think. You ask them where they stand without them knowing where you stand. And then you should get the answer that comes from them.
Correct.
And not colored up a little bit, decorated, to make you happy with the response. Okay, what's next on your mind?
Well, what about Washington, D.C.?
What about it?
Huh? Well, apparently the president is allowing all that documents to be made public, dealing with all that shenanigans that the Democrats and the FBI did, coming up with
Mueller investigation.
Mueller investigation, all this here. He wants it to come out and
let the people know the facts.
Right, they should know what happened. Like I said before we went on the air, the rank and file of the FBI should be, they're ashamed of what happened
at the upper levels.
High upper echelon. All those people in Washington who are named and there should be released, all right, and not get a pension, because they did a disservice to the FBI and those hardworking people out in the field putting their life on the line every day, and these guys trying to do bad stuff, you know, break the law. They're not above the law. They broke the law.
No, they're not. Right? Absolutely.
And you know, that just bothers the hang out of me. And now we got this judge, all right, and this lady 35 years later all of a sudden decides that
Judge Kavanaugh has been nominated by the President of the United States to be the next Supreme Court judge. And go ahead.
Okay. And all of a sudden now she wants to bring this up,
well, wait, who? This woman.
Her last name is Ford. She went to high school, and she can't remember certain things. And I talked to you this morning, and I said all the school parties I went to when I was that age and stuff like that, everybody got a little feeling good. I don't think that she probably got drunk.
I didn't.
All right? Well, you're purist anyways.
Yeah, right.
But to bring this up, and I think it's a big scam with the Democrats bringing it up, because if he gets appointed, the Supreme Court is going to be conservative for many, many, many years. And in the last minute, and Feinstein out there hanging on to this thing here.
Senator Feinstein.
I think that the FBI, they said they're not going to do anything about it. But if I was somebody, I know he's got a lady attorney now working for him, I would find a background check done on this lady, because out there in California, I think she's been doing some certain things. She doesn't like Trump at all. And
wait a minute.
That Ford lady, she had a petition on Trump.
The woman who was accusing Judge Kavanaugh of
sexual harassment or
something.
Rape?
No, not rape. But something to do with
sexual assault, I guess.
Something like that when they were in high school. And he says he wasn't even at the
party,
event.
right.
And there are 65 women who were in school with them who have all signed this letter saying that there's no way that he ever would have done something like that. He had just had too much of a solid character to do something like that. And but this is Senator Feinstein had a letter from this woman who is accusing the judge since July, and at the last minute when the hearings, checking in
was supposed to be this week.
Yeah, the end of the Senate hearings with the judge, she brings this thing up, and it's all about throwing a monkey wrench, delaying the whole process, and I think it's disgusting. It's low.
Right. All the Democrats wanted to delay. Even our group of guys down in Washington said they wanted to delay. And like I said, it's just a tactic. Even some of the ones, Booker and who was that other lady up there, when they had the hearing, kept saying delay, delay. They just don't want it to go forward. So they found this lady who brought this charge up against him.
I wonder if they're paying her. That's what I think.
I think so, but I think that they should investigate her. Now, my understanding is she's a professor out in a college out in California, and she had a law professor actually draw this up for her. So, I mean,
really?
It sounds like a scam to me.
Well, I think so too.
I mean,
I think it's disgusting.
Well, look what they did.
Desperate.
Look what they did with Trump. All right, the Democrats did all this dossier stuff. It was all poo-poo, and the Democrats and the FBI were in on it. All right, Obama was in on it, and so I believe this is another tactic against this guy because they can't control what they want to control. Because they know down the road it's going to be a conservative
Supreme Court
for a lot of years.
And I feel badly for Judge Kavanaugh.
Yeah.
I think he's a man of honor and distinction, and I think it's really sinful what they're stooping so low to get what they want. You know, if they wanted to deal with this in the right way, they could have brought it up in July. But no, they waited till the last minute so they could delay the vote for Kavanaugh to be on the Supreme Court.
They know because there was some red states that were going to go along with the red-blue states to vote for him. And going back to 1700s, when we put this all together, these guys did not do that, our founding fathers. They didn't do this kind of stuff.
No, they didn't. No,
they were honorable. They did not agree on everything.
Exactly.
But they would never do something like that. So those people doing that, shame, shame, shame on you. You're ruining the reputation of the United States Congress.
They're not respecting the process.
That's right.
Nor the candidate.
That's right.
Nor the people of the country. It disgusts me.
Yeah.
I can't stand it.
You ever heard the old dirty politics?
Yeah.
Well, that's they get an A+ for that.
Okay. Well, I guess we've had our talk tonight, Don.
Oh.
We're down to around a minute or so. So a little bit more maybe. So I want to definitely thank you for all you do and for coming on the show and discussing all these things. There's always one more thing to say, that's for sure. And by the way, we need to terminate the National Department of Education and let the states run their own education systems. There's nothing in the Constitution that allows for the federal government to oversee education. So let's do away with that department and cut the costs for the taxpayers and let the states have their way. Okay, folks, thank you so much for tuning in. I appreciate it. And I'll be back again next week with more to talk about, and I hope you'll chime in. Have a good week ahead. Take care. Good night.